welcome to another episode of the InnerChild Podcast, where we have authentic conversations about growth, childhood, and passion. I'm JB. I have my co-host, as always, with me, OD. And today we have a very special guest in the building with us. Today's guest is a storyteller in every sense of the word, a morning news anchor, a mother of three, and a woman who is rediscovering herself while stepping fully into a life she once dreamed of. She's interviewed best-selling authors, icons, and now she's building a platform to explore the power of connection. Let's give a warm welcome to a resilient, radiant, and real Julia Chan. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you for coming on.
Grateful to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I remember when we all first met. What was it at Dumbo House?
Dumbo
Yes.
House. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. No, me and JB got invited to a showcase.
Right.
A showcase, and there you were at the bar, full of energy and radiant, like he said. So, it's a full circle moment that obviously have you on the show and be able to kind of just talk inner child with you today. We really appreciate you coming through.
Yes, absolutely. I totally remember meeting you guys a few months ago. I mean, this is what I so love about New York City.
Facts.
It's just so easy to meet people, and everyone is like so open and curious. And the conversation we had that day was so great.
Yeah.
And thank you so much. Like, it was a few months, and then you guys reached out, and I was like, I didn't even know you guys had this podcast. Very cool. And I love the name of it, Inner Child.
Definitely.
I mean, do we all do the inner child work? Did we even know about inner child like 15 years ago?
I know, right? We definitely want to get into it, get to know all about you, but we always have an opening segment. I know we didn't talk about this earlier when we did our pre-show call, but we call this segment Drip Check, right?
I love it.
All right, now Drip Check is, pretty simple, right? So it's about style. I'm a fashion guy. You know that. Love me a good style, love me a good outfit.
Love your shirt.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
cool.
I really
So cool.
appreciate it. So yeah, definitely this segment is just about you. Like, tell us about your outfit today, what you thought of wearing, and what was just, the whole emotion behind putting together this outfit that you got on.
Wow. That's interesting because this is the dress I actually bought when I went to meet Kate Middleton.
Oh, wow.
So right after Prince William and Kate got married, which, by the way, I hosted an all-night royal wedding viewing party back when they got married. How long ago was that? A while ago, right?
Yeah.
And actually it was all because of them that I became a morning news anchor.
Okay.
So someday my goal is to not only meet Kate, I've actually met her before, is actually to become personal friends with her, because don't you think she needs an American friend who's down to earth and really fun, and we'll take her to Dumbo House?
Right.
Anyways, yeah, so I went to, so after they got married, after Prince William and Kate got married, they did an American tour, and they came to Santa Barbara. I was living in Los Angeles area, and they came to Santa Barbara for a polo match. He actually played polo in the match, and I got tickets, and it was like a charity fundraising event. And I went, and I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to wear?
Yeah.
And this dress jumped out at me. This is a Ted Baker dress. And I loved Ted Baker. And of course, Ted Baker was from London. So a few years later, when I went to London, I saw all of these gorgeous Ted Baker shops with tons of dresses. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know when I bought the dress to go to this polo match that this was a British brand. I didn't realize. So anyways, yeah, that was a long, long time ago. And luckily the dress still fits.
Yeah, that's the good thing,
it
right?
actually fits a little better now that I'm in New York and work out so much. It's great. I'm living my best life here in New York.
I love it. We love that.
I can definitely say that's the coolest drip check intro that we've gotten
right?
from a story of a piece somebody's worn. But Julie, I want to get right into it. Southern California girl through and through. Just talk a little bit about your upbringing in Southern California and some things that shaped you when you were younger.
Sure. I would first say, so I was an only child for 10 years, and I hated being an only child. I meet people now who are like, what? Being an only child's the best. You get everything. You're the center of attention. And I'm like, wow, was not my experience. So I grew up when I was really young. We lived in like a cul-de-sac in a middle-class neighborhood. And the cul-de-sac had lots of kids, fortunately, and all the kids would come play in the street. But, when it was dinner time, everybody went home. And it was the most heart-wrenching thing for me every day because everyone would go home with their siblings and I would go home by myself. And I hated it. I just wanted to go home where, there would be a sibling and somebody to keep playing with and talking with. And so, yeah, that was really hard. My mom had had a hysterectomy when I was young and couldn't have more kids. And I didn't understand that because I was really young, right? And she would say, I can't have more kids. And I would say, yeah, but my friend said that her parents are making one. So can you just make one?
Yeah.
I totally didn't get it. And how awful must that have been for my mom, for me to keep asking for that. And she literally couldn't make that possible. So I'm, looking back, I'm sure that I gave her a lot of trauma too by always constantly asking for something that she truly couldn't deliver. Fortunately, 10 years later, my sister was adopted from Japan. But another tidbit is my birthday is on Christmas. And my mom always spun it as I was special because I shared Jesus Christ's birthday.
All right.
And I would open presents believing, I truly believe in miracles to this day because I believed in opening Christmas presents that a live child could burst out. And I never stopped believing that. She was adopted. She did not come out of a box, but I did keep praying and believing that I would get a sister. So luckily she came. One more thing I would love to share about my childhood is that both my parents worked. And as I said, I didn't have siblings. And so I felt this huge void from all of that. But I was really, really close to my paternal grandparents and they took care of me the first 5 years. And I went to kindergarten in their neighborhood and I was super close to my paternal grandfather. And I just was so close with him. And I remember so distinctly, I would sit on his lap on the couch and I would hold his cheeks and I would say to him, Grandpa, you can never die because I am going to marry you. And my grandmother would be laughing at me. She'd be like, that's so ridiculous. And I would be like, no, you be quiet, Grandma. He is going to marry me. And so I think there's a piece of me all these years that I have this deep rooted belief in miracles, as I already said, but belief in this I don't know, that's love that's so unconditional,
Right.
the way my grandfather gave it to me.
Yeah.
So, being that you're only child, where does your radiant personality come from? Was it with the other kids you grew up in your neighborhood with? Was it with your maternal grandparents? Where did that come from? And at what age did you start to feel this is who you are as a person?
Well, that's a really loaded question for me. I think that I've always, as I said, believed in miracles, right? So there was just this innate optimism in me, right? There were so many things I wanted and wished for that I just always had this belief in the possibilities of life and that miracles are possible. But I also had a lot of insecurity and a lot of limiting beliefs growing up. And I think they really started to come in more and more as I got to high school and college. I really, really somehow had this deep-rooted power of prayer. And I think that really comes from, wanting a sibling so badly that all I could do was pray about it, right? Because I'm a little girl and I have no control over anything. And my parents did teach me the power of prayer, and they would pray with me every night. We would pray before meals. And so I just decided to just dig in and trust that the more I prayed, the more things could happen. And I don't know, I was actually very insecure as a little girl. I remember in first grade, I was so shy. I couldn't speak to anybody. First grade, I went to new school like every year through elementary school. My parents moved often as part of their business, and I hated always moving because I was so shy and I was an only child and I was pretty insecure. Um, and so making new friends was really hard for me. So yeah, there was a lot of insecurity, and I don't think I had that optimism in those years. Um, but then in junior high, I became a cheerleader miraculously, again, through the power of prayer. And when I became a cheerleader and I, was kind of put on the map and the boys were friends with me and all of those things, like, then I started to build a little confidence. And then in high school, I went to a new school again. But I say that in high school and college, the insecurity came, but sort of simultaneously, like things were happening to also let me see
Like
that.
offset it in a sense.
That what?
Like to offset it in a
Yeah,
sense.
to offset it. I guess so. Yeah. So, yes, it's like a back and forth for me. I would say that in having kids is really when I started to build more confidence because
Gotcha.
I had to, right? I was now a mother and needed to be an example for my kids. And, I had like unconditional love for them. And I wanted to be the mom for them that, was like their cheerleader and their support system and to always host the parties. And I had the fortunate opportunity to be able to do that for them and to make all these memories with them and for them that gave them like, I think a very like colorful life of memories and birthday parties and all these good things. And so I became very proud of that. And then hosting my all-night royal wedding viewing party when Prince William married Kate then set me into this whole other road of becoming a morning news anchor. And that, I think in life, the more experiences you have and the more you do, the more confidence you build, right?
Right.
Your tool bag grows and you like start to get to know yourself. And making this cross-country move that I had wanted to make for years, and finally stepping into it only like 7 months ago was really huge for me. And I think arriving here and just making friends and seeing opportunities come and doors open has been so wildly exciting for me that it just gives me more and more radiance and optimism and like the knowing of, oh my gosh, I did know I belonged here and it's working. Like
Right.
meeting you guys.
For sure.
I love that. I love that. You know, honestly, you said a lot of you said a lot of gems. One thing I really loved that you said was, you felt like a lot of your passions and not only just your passions, but the things that you wished and prayed for, it kind of clashed a lot with your insecurity and, just not being sure what would work out, right?
Yes.
In the pre-show call, we talked about how, you had this idea of what the dream was, right? Family, marriage, kids, the career, but also like struggling to kind of like balance
Yes.
all of that. And I want to tap into like, the real emotion of actually going through those things. Cause now obviously you said in the last 7 months, you've moved to New York and there's just a whole new Julie Chan that, wasn't around before. What did that period feel like in your life where you felt like you needed to have it all and this is what everything needed to look like? And also too, like with you going through those struggles of trying to find that balance and figuring out how do I actually make this work?
Yeah, it was a lot. So, I think I always thought life was either or, like either have the kids and the family or have this amazing, thriving career.
Right.
Unfortunately, like the career path I wanted was to be the next Connie Chung, right? To be like a very famous news anchor, or, I still hope to be Asian Oprah one day.
Right.
But that's like, Oprah, maybe sacrificed having a family so that she could be all in on building her career and a network. And those are the things I want to have. So yeah, early on, I decided, you know what? I will be really disappointed in life if I don't get married and I don't have kids. And if I pursue this career, because I did come here in my 20s
Mm-hmm.
and I had the amazing opportunity of working for House Beautiful magazine, a Hearst publication, and then getting an interview actually at The View with Barbara Walters. Of course, it was just to be a coffee runner. But, I saw the possibility of going from coffee runner to moving up that ladder and one day maybe, having a seat at the table. But there was also in me the fear of what if I do that and then I forego getting married and having kids. And I knew deep in my heart that it would be really depressing to me and that there would be a loneliness. And so I am so grateful that I do have these 3 daughters. And, as much as like I wish, that my career was, in a much higher position at this point in my life, I feel really fortunate that since I plan to live to 120 years old, I still have more than half my life to go.
Yes, a whole lot of energy.
Yes, a whole lot of energy.
We love that. We love that.
So I gotta ask you, did you ever feel and thank you for opening up about that. Really, really see like your emotions, your passion just laid out for us. Did you ever have a sense of pressure, whether it was from your parents or just family members? And I'm really also curious to know, coming from like, like an Asian perspective and background, just to see like what that was like for you growing up.
Yeah. So, interestingly, like I didn't have tiger parents. Like there was a book that had come out years ago called Tiger Mom.
Mhm.
And, I fortunately didn't have that experience where I was always expected to get straight A's. I mean, I did take piano lessons for 10 years and I still don't know how to read music at all. And I don't know the keys. But anyways, I do think that, in my Asian culture and societally, at least where I grew up and when I was growing up, and I was watching shows like Leave It to Beaver and loving them. Like I wanted, the perfect family, and I wanted to be like, the stay-home mom. My mom wasn't a stay-home mom. My mom worked, and I actually hated that. I really, really hated it. I mean, I was the girl that, this is going to sound so crazy, but I literally would go, my mom would leave for work and my dad would take me to school.
Mhm.
And my dad didn't know this, but I would go into my mom's closet and smell her clothes because I so just missed her and I wished she was there to be that typical mom, to be on the PTA, to do all of those things. So yeah, I think I did feel pressure to get married and have kids and, nobody in my family or my parents' friends or even most of my friends, nobody is divorced. But there came a point where it was really like hearing my kids not believe in marriage and not ever want to get married, that I started to take note of that and think wait, what are they seeing that maybe it doesn't look like something they would want to do?
All right.
And when I started to look inward at that and realize that there was a disconnection there, and I think I'm a really connected person. I can strike up a conversation with pretty much the wall. So and maybe that was part of the problem, is that, I can nearly talk to myself. So, when we couldn't have conversations, it just became really lonely. And I just realized maybe this isn't the marriage that I should be in. But yeah, there was definitely, the idealism of getting married and having kids that I definitely had and wanted,
Mhm.
but I do not regret at all the road I took and that I do have my kids. And truly, I am so grateful that I did see the disconnection and that I did have the confidence and the audacity to let it go and to move on and to start over. And it's not easy to do that. But I think it takes definitely a lot of optimism, huge amount of prayer. I think that my prayer journey just grows on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And I mean, just yesterday I was at church and, something happened. And today I'm at another crossroads of like, okay, God, what do you want me to do? Like, am I not trusting you enough? Like, what am I too trusting? Like, what is happening right now? So it's this constant inward journey for me and self-reflection that I do that I think also guides my path a lot.
Yeah, definitely. So, not to make this too much of an emotional, podcast. I mean, obviously, we love tapping into emotions and having real, authentic conversations. And you briefly mentioned, that your marriage was something that you recognized was not probably the kind of, I guess, unionship that you thought would continue to sustain.
Yeah.
Which is why you decided, obviously, to step into this new part of your life, or this second act, I guess you can call it, right?
Yes.
I do want to talk a little bit about that, because I mean, it's a very tough decision, right? You have children, you have daughters.
Yeah.
You were obviously not living in New York. You moved to New York post divorce, right?
Yes.
Could you at least tell us like how tough that decision was, and what was like the roller coasters of emotions that you had to deal with while going through that entire transition?
Yeah. So, as I started to say earlier, I think over the years, my daughters would sort of drop comments like, we drive from LA to Utah, right, to Deer Valley Ski Resort every Thanksgiving. And, Mom, on that 12-hour drive, we noticed that you and Dad actually never speak. You don't say 2 words to each other. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what? They noticed that? They're in the back of a minivan, like all the way in the 3rd row, playing with their American Girl dolls, like having full on conversations and living in this imaginary world. Like, how did they even notice?
How did they get that? Oh.
Yeah. And, then I hosted lots of, parties for the kids, tons of parties. And, as they got into high school, it was like I hosted like the all freshman class pool party and the pre-homecoming dance party and the post parties and all of these things. And then my kids would come to me and they would say, Mom, like our friends wonder like how you and Dad even got together. Like, were you ever friends? Like, how did you, what do you guys talk about? And they really started to ask me more and more questions. And, they were just curious, and I get it. They were just trying to figure out like what's important, I think, in looking for a partner, in their dating life. And, I wasn't really talking to them about those things. And so I was just listening and I was absorbing everything they were saying. But at the same time, I am a doer. So I was constantly, anybody who knows me knows that like I was always hosting parties. I was always, going out. I was always planning things. I ran for the school board. I became a school board member. I was doing things for my kids. I was, flying back and forth for this morning news anchor job in Oregon. Yeah. I was always doing. So there wasn't a lot of downtime actually for me to be so self-reflective. I think the real self-reflection came during the pandemic when the whole world shut down. Yeah. And I was like, wait, now I can't talk to anybody and I can't host a party. But, back to your question, I think it was really just the realization that hit me pretty hard that, oh my gosh, I want my kids to believe in love and partnership. And, they were saying things like, we're going to, do it on our own. And we don't need a partner at all. And that's fine. You don't need a partner. And I know specifically in this day and age, like, kids didn't grow up watching Leave It to Beaver, right? They grew up watching Sex and the City, apparently, because my daughters seem to tell me that maybe I'm living Carrie Bradshaw's life from Sex and the City. Right. So I'm like, really? Like, what does that mean? Because I didn't watch that show, so let me go watch that show. So they have a totally different sense. And I then realized, like, wow, I don't want you to believe that. I want you to be optimistic. I want you to believe in partnership. I want you to believe in love. I want you to believe that it is an amazing union and that it is like meeting your very best friend in life and that you can have this deep, deep connection. And I told them, I said, you know what? I've tried to always teach you to live a passionate life and to surround yourself by friends and people who support you endlessly and unconditionally, and that you have like deep-rooted bonds with. And if you don't, then let those people go because you deserve that in your life. And I reminded them of that. And I said, and now I realize you haven't seen that in the most important relationship of your life. Like maybe we both meant it, but we weren't able to physically show it or emotionally be it or like have good communication. And so we need to move on because I still do believe in love and I still do believe in the possibility of being with your best friend in life, your ride or die. And I hope that's still on its way for me.
Right.
You mentioned a period of...
Sorry, I think it is. You have a great heart.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
But go
My
ahead,
fault.
JB. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So you mentioned like that, excuse me, that period of reflection in 2020. And, your kids are asking all these, intuitive questions and whatnot, about you and your then husband at the time. After they ask you all of those questions, how deep are you assessing what they're asking you? Because, sometimes it could be one thing when, you may have friends ask you a certain question, but when your own like kids ask you questions about, your own relationship at the time, like how did those feelings start to formulate as you're thinking of responses of what you should be telling them?
It wasn't hitting in the moments that they were telling me.
Mm-hmm.
Like they weren't asking me, they were just dropping lines.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my friends ask like, I mean, that's true. Like in the car ride, it would be like, my friends ask, how you and dad even got together. Like, what do you have in common? And I really never answered. I just sat with it. And I think to my kids, they may not have even realized that I was listening or that I was logging it or remembering it, because I think I do sort of have this ability to sort of camouflage that I'm really paying attention.
Right.
And I was paying attention, but I didn't have answers in those exact moments. And so, yeah, so it wasn't like, later on friends asked me like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so sorry. I wish I had known you were unhappy. But to be honest, it wasn't that I was unhappy. I was really busy. I was raising my kids. I was actually really grateful. I was really grateful that I had this husband who worked hard and was a good provider. And, we had this nice house and I was able to throw these amazing birthday parties for my daughters and pursue my career and fly back and forth and, do it all, so to speak, at some point in my life, even though that was tough. But I think the real turning point for me came when I had quit the morning anchor job and I had come home and I was interviewing all these book authors and I was hosting parties and I was also being a mom, but my kids were getting older now. And I was like, why aren't I able to make this like a profitable business? Or why aren't I able to like really grow into what I know I can do professionally?
Right.
And then I had this epiphany of realizing like I was kind of suffocating in my own, in what I created for myself, right? I created this home and this family, and I said yes to this marriage, and it was all great. But while we didn't have communication, I also, because we didn't have communication, I didn't have that best friend to like have conversations with and to feel supported by. And I needed that and I wanted that. And I just felt like I was doing it all on my own. And so if I was doing it on my own in my head, then I probably should go, like I should leave this situation and I should not feel like I was suffocating anymore. And I should go and figure it out by myself so that I wouldn't be blaming anybody, but that I would go find my true North Star and that I would be free. And I didn't even realize the magnitude of boxing myself in that I did. But yeah, I had dreams of moving to New York for so long. And so to finally have the freedom to be able to do it and the support of my daughters, maybe they don't even know how much they actually do support me. But, it was when my youngest daughter said, like, this is your dream, go pursue it. It was the reality of like, you know what? As their mother, like I am probably I'm sure they have many mentors they look up to, but I am the closest person to them. And if I don't believe in myself, how will they be able to believe in themselves? In the same way, if I don't find partnership and that love of my life and that best friend, how can they believe that that's possible? So it all goes back to I genuinely am so thankful that God blessed me with these three beautiful, incredible daughters. And the book that I'm writing will be titled All the Lessons I Learned from My Daughters.
That's amazing. If anything, I could say is I think, from our very first initial conversations to the pre-show call and to just over text is one thing I can say about you is that you're very resilient, right? Like you're resilient from, the stories you shared of, being an only child and dealing with that. And then, different career pivots and how different life, transformations occur. And I think with all this, and I hope that, whoever is looking at this episode or listening to this episode is, no matter what, comes in your way, as long as you're able to be resilient, you can overcome anything. And I feel like you've consistently done that. And you're even resilient in ways to which you may not necessarily directly know as well, right? Like, and I definitely want you to share the story of like the whole, the royal watch party, because, you even hosting that and an opportunity came up about that for within the media space. So, all in all, I just think that, you're just a resilient individual and you are a go-getter at the end of the day. So, props and kudos to you for sure.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for saying that and seeing that.
All right. So one of the biggest things that we pride our show on is talking about passion and purpose, right? And on our pre-show call, you mentioned that, when Huda announced that she was leaving the Today Show, that was like a big sign for you almost, because you've always wanted to host a major talk show or a major morning news show. And so that you felt like that was a sign to come to New York. So explain a little about that for us, and just ultimately like your decision to come back to New York a second time around.
Yeah. So for years, I had known that someday I would come back to New York. And, part of when I was looking at morning anchor jobs, right? Like 10 years ago, I only wanted a job actually on the East Coast. I was really looking at small towns in Massachusetts and upstate New York and Virginia. And ultimately, my job was in Oregon. And then I left, I went back home. But still, my eye was always set on New York City, right? The media capital of the
Mhm.
universe. Good Morning America, The Today Show, Live with Kelly, like all of these shows, The View. And so it's just always been in my mind. And so my kids, my daughters grew up going to summer camp in Maine. I think it was kind of subconscious on my part, maybe. But I wanted them to have East Coast roots and friends because I knew that someday I would work and live here. And so for about 3 years, I have this manifesting app. And without pain, you can only have one manifestation goal. And my one manifestation goal was to become a co host of The Today Show. And, through journaling and through the years, I got more and more specific about it. And I kept seeing that I would be Jenna Bush's co host. And she hosts the 4th hour of the Today Show. And Hoda and Jenna would host that together. And so I woke up one morning in September of 2024, I think it was the end of September, and I never got the Today Show or anything about the Today Show on Instagram. But that morning I wake up and the first thing I see on my Instagram is Hoda Kotb is leaving the Today Show. And I immediately felt in every cell in my body, oh my gosh, now is the time. The universe is telling me, move to New York now so that you can be in the right place at the right time. You can start getting experience at a smaller station so that you're queued up and ready when the time comes for them to look for a new co-host for Jenna, because it wouldn't happen like right away. It'll take time.
Mhm.
And then I thought, well, maybe they already have somebody in line. They probably knew Hoda's leaving, but instead of being fearful or anxious or worried, I dropped into prayer like I always do when I get scared. And I said, please, God, like, show me the way and like, show me what you want me to do and just prepare me. And so I just kept praying that every day, and the doors started opening. And a month later, I was in New York, and I had a friend here from Greece, and she said, let's look at apartments. And I was like, why? I'm just here to show you around New York. And she's like, yeah, but your dream is to move here. So let's just start looking at apartments.
Mhm.
And I still wasn't planning to move because actually I was coaching in a transformational training program that I had done 3 years ago during my divorce. And I randomly decided to come back and be a coach in it in September. And I was only planning to coach for 3 days. And then 3 days turned into another 4 days. And then another 4 days turned into like the 4-month journey. And it was actually honestly through coaching others. And, they say, right, when we help others and when we are giving is when we receive.
Right.
And it's so true. So I was here in New York. I was showing my great friend around, and she's like, let's go look at apartments. And I'm looking at apartments while I'm coaching from New York. I was having to have 10 minutes calls with like all of these people I was coaching. And it was taking like 2 hours a day, every day while I'm in New York. And I'm realizing like, oh my gosh, all the things I'm saying to them is what I should be doing. Like I'm asking them like, why aren't you living your biggest life? Why are you holding back? If that's your dream, why aren't you doing it? And then it hit me and I looked at my Greek friend and I was like, do you hear everything I'm saying? And she's like, yeah, so why aren't you doing it? So if this is where you want to be, why don't you make this move? Why don't you choose one of these apartments that we're looking at?
Mhm.
And you know what? I thought I only wanted to live on the Upper East Side.
Right.
And so I would say that beyond like manifesting and having your goals set, it's also important to be able to pivot and to be, flexible,
Yep.
right? And so I thought I only wanted to be on the Upper East Side. And I looked at 10 apartments on the Upper East Side, and 2 of them were like, I was pretty close to saying a yes to. And my Greek friend was like, just choose one of these. And I was like, but you really have to go deep inside of you to listen to your soul. Like, is this what I should do? And so then ultimately I was driving to the airport and I saw this big building like on the way, and it was like on the west side overlooking the Hudson River. And I'm like, this building says for lease and these high rises like have leased apartments. Like, what does this mean? And what does this look like? Because when I lived here a million years ago, like I lived in a walk up on the Upper East Side that was like falling apart. And that's what I thought New York was. So I said, okay, dear God, if you want me to see this apartment and this is a possibility, then please let me find parking right now because I'm already late to the airport. And literally there was a parking spot right in front. And we know that's impossible in New York City.
Absolutely impossible.
Like impossible. So I was like, okay, amazing. Thank you, God, for showing me parking. Now, if I'm meant to see it, let this be the kindest, most awesome leasing manager who just helps me get through this process.
Right.
And that's available to show me right now because that's also impossible. And they send out James, who I love. James is the best. And he comes out and he is fabulous. And it's like, so back to that power of connection. Like, I think between prayer and the power of connection, that is what opens every door for me.
Right.
Like, he just opened the door. He saw my UGG sparkly boots and he's like, oh, you're a bougie one. And I'm like, what? What makes you think I'm bougie? I'm not bougie. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I need to see a studio, the cheapest studio. And he goes, let me show you this studio first. It had a gorgeous view of the Hudson River. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then he showed me the 12th floor swimming pool, indoor pool. That was like better than any indoor swimming pool of the fanciest hotel I've ever been to. And I'm like, wait, this feels like I'm living at the Four Seasons. And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, but wait, do you have a cheaper studio? And he looks down at my boots and he goes, you're pretty bougie. I don't think you're going to like the cheaper chicken. and he shows me and I'm like, I don't like it. And he's like, I told you. So anyways, the doors open. He made miracles happen. He moved mountains because, the leasing a place in New York is not easy. Like, you have to basically show your whole life savings of like 10 million bazillion dollars.
I know, so many pay stubs.
Yeah, facts.
I was like, no, I don't have any of that. You need to go dig into your toolkit and figure something out for me. Okay, James? So James worked miracles.
Got you.
No, we love that. I love that, man.
Yeah, and so what I love about this segment right here that you're talking about is the difference between the first go around when you're in New York and then the second time around. So just talk about it seems like this was a little bit more intentional. It was calculated. And it was a calculated risk in a sense because you'd be leaving everything that you had, but you just felt compelled to do so. To just share a little bit about this second time around in the city and what you have upcoming as well.
So if you know me, unfortunately, I calculate nothing. I can't even do math, not even with a calculator. I fly by the seat of my pants. I love spontaneity.
Right.
I believe the wind takes me where I go, which is not always smart. I keep learning that lesson, but I still keep taking the risks. But I would say that the difference between the first time and the second time was truly for as confident as I might have seemed the first time I came, I was so insecure and I had a lot of limiting beliefs and I just had a lot of fear. And to be honest, I don't think I was particularly praying then also. I do remember I went to Redeemer Church and I taught Sunday school, but I didn't understand the power of prayer and manifesting and all of those things truly until after I did this transformational training program. Okay. So when I did that about 3-4 years ago, it's really when my whole mindset blew open and I really tapped in to probably maybe the person I was born to be that I had lost track of over the years, right? Because that, to point out the name of your podcast, your inner child, the inner child, I think the way I understand it is really our wounded child. It's the child that actually didn't get taken care of the way it needed to. And I think it's really, really common for all of us and for our parents and for everyone, really. And our parents all did the best that they could. And they didn't mean to wound our inner child or to not be able to support our inner child. But it goes back to only we know what we need.
Right.
And so even though we go to psychics and therapists and friends, like only we have those answers because it's our inner child that we have to take care of. But nobody knows that child more than
And
ourselves.
yourself, right?
But we have to also have the patience
Mm-hmm.
for a child. We have to have the patience and the intuition, maybe, and the peace, I think, to be able to sit and hear and listen to that inner child, something I am constantly working on. And it's not easy.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I totally don't think I answered the question.
No,
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. You're good.
Trust me, we're right on track. We're right on track. We did want to obviously talk a little bit about your, upcoming project, your podcast that you mentioned, right, to us in the pre-show call. Obviously this is a podcast platform, so we definitely want to give you a space to talk about, your show.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, so my podcast, well, it's still very much in the early stages,
Mhm.
meaning I'm still writing the first episodes. And it's definitely a healing journey for myself. But yeah, for about 6 years, maybe more, people have said, professionals, friends, so many people have said, why don't you start your own podcast? And because I have spent so many years interviewing others, whether it was, for news show or magazine style show, book authors at live events or online, I really didn't want to do another podcast that interviewed others. But at the same time, I didn't have the confidence to believe that my own experiences and my own stories could be shared just in and of themselves,
Right.
and that I could just sit with the microphone and the camera and just share. But I finally, it was after moving here and after taking a news reporter job and realizing I am not doing what God has put me on this earth to do.
Right.
And the experiences he has given me and the life he has given me to live and the resilience, like I need to share those stories because so many people, when I would interview authors in front of live audiences, people would come to me afterwards and say, like, we wanted to hear more of your story. And I was always really touched by that. But I also didn't believe it. Like, no, I'm sure you don't. And that would be so narcissistic of me. And I really try to stay clear of being that person or like resembling that term, for a lot of reasons. But it was finally in moving here and being asked actually to speak at a journalism conference. And the title of my speech was networking your way to your first news job. And I prayed about it and what I would talk about. And I said, God, if I am meant to do this, and if this is my superpower that you want me to share with the world, and people don't already know it because I think they do,
Mhm.
then show me. Like, show me if I should do that or shouldn't do that by either filling that room or not filling that room. And that room was totally full. Like, they had the cops coming in trying to get people out because they were going to have to call in a fire marshal. And it was incredible. It was a huge gift. And after that, it was a student there that said, I've started many podcasts and I know how to do this. And I would like to partner with you to start your podcast, to take you to B&H, to pick out your equipment, to tell you what you need to do this. And he has become my podcast editor. And Will Gifford is a godsend. He is a college student and he is just so kind and so generous and so confident for his age to be able to say like, are you really tapping into your heart in this episode? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's much harder than I realized to like, it's easy for me to share with you guys and to tell you stories as you ask me questions, but to shape those stories and to decide like what the meat of it is and what the point of it is and to give others like a lesson and a tip and inspiration, that assumes that I'm worthy of that.
Right.
So then it becomes a worthiness thing.
You said that you've been trying to now reassess like what your inner child is, right? And then with reassessing your inner child comes with resetting expectations for yourself, right? Could you like just share how in this new phase, this new stage of your life, you're reshaping your current expectations for yourself, and also, in what shape or form have your daughters also influenced how you view yourself now, present day?
So the way I have reshaped my inner child beliefs is I used to be like, this is kind of, I feel like it's a little surface level, but I didn't even realize how hard I was on myself. Like, I don't sleep many hours. So, like, I'll go to sleep at 3 or 4 a.m., but if I'm not up by 6 or 7 a.m., like, I feel like, what is wrong with me? Like, why aren't I ambitious? Why aren't I a go-getter? Why am I so lazy? And these are running thoughts in my head that I didn't even realize. So, it's really taken me a lot to sit with myself and to hear what my inner child needs and how she needs to be taken care of, and to fuel her with self-worth and like, it's okay. And to not need external validation. I was somebody who very much pleased others for external validation, not even realizing it, right? Just thinking, but I'm an extrovert and I love being with people. Or wait, is it that I get praise and validation from throwing these parties and from setting a table and from interviewing some high profile person that brings a lot of people to my event? Like, is that what I really need? And showing up for myself in a podcast where I'm not being held accountable to anybody that I have to interview because I'm not interviewing anybody.
Right.
It's just for me. And scheduling that time for myself and then showing up for myself is still a struggle. And I'm still learning how to take care of my inner child and to calm her when she is having a tantrum because she doesn't want to do that podcast and because she wants to just scroll Instagram all day long instead of focusing on myself. And, sometimes it's like, wait, what do you need? Do you need to take a bath? Do you need to light a candle? Do you need to just take a nap? And I'm like, take a nap? What? No, Julie is not allowed to take a nap. That is off limits. Only weak people take naps. That's the old version of me.
Right.
So those are the struggles I have with my inner child, for real.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I think one of the biggest things you just said is validation of others, and I think we've touched on that numerous occasions on this show. Of sometimes, whether we see it or not, it's just we're doing so much, we're going so fast at a high pace, and everything that we do in our daily lives that once we sit back and reflect, sometimes it's, am I doing this for me, or am I doing this for somebody else because of what I'm quote unquote receiving, from other people.
Yes.
So I think that's a very important thing that you were able to recognize.
And I want to say one more thing, because you had asked about what I've learned from my children and how they have sort of shaped all of that. And it is incredible how younger generations are so in tune to, the thing that I always hear my kids saying right now is the word performative. Performative. That is like their word. Like, that's so performative. Everything is so performative. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how do they know that?
Right.
Like, that's incredible for teenagers to feel like that's so performative. Like, aren't teenagers conditioned to be performative? Isn't that what being a teen is?
Yeah.
A performance? But, that teens are saying this is like, wow, kudos to them for like knowing that and for being so true to themselves, intuitive, having that awareness and that desire to be deeper and to like ask those questions. I love that. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, maybe I'm being performative. Mom, why do you have to post that on Instagram? That's so performative. And I'm like, but I'm building an audience. Anyways, a whole other story. We get into arguments about this.
Yeah, no, totally. We've I feel like we've kind of gone like on a timeline, through like your progression from like, your adolescence to now present day. If you could go back and tell your 20-year-old self something, what would you tell 20-year-old Julie?
I would tell 20-year-old Julie to not worry so much. Well, you know what? I actually get to tell 20-year-old Julie things all the time because I have a 20-year-old. I have a 20-year-old who is a rising junior at USC. And she calls me and, kids, and particularly your own kids, they don't want to hear like, oh my gosh, I was you at this age, right? They don't want to be associated that closely to you. But it is so true. You guys, like the things she is stressing about, like, Mom, like I'm supposed to be doing this job, and I'm supposed to be getting this internship, but I really don't think that resonates with my heart. And all I literally say all the things that I wished I had said to myself at that age, which are, it's okay. Follow your heart. Follow your passion.
Right.
And there were some people saying that, and I didn't believe that. And I was like, that's ridiculous. Like, you have to be, you have to be smart, and you have to, do the right thing, and you have to like be responsible, and you have to make the money, and you have to have the resume builder. And you know what? I am now getting that second chance, that second act, whatever you want to call it. And I am learning, like, do what lights you up.
Right.
Do what you love, and the money will follow. And I truly believe that. And not only that, but like, believe that the money is there. Believe that what you desire is there and it will come. Like, and the people who ask, how will it come? Which was always my question, how? That's the wrong question. Like, you don't worry about how. You trust the how. You just do what you love, whatever it is that you love.
Right.
Even if it's taking baths, lighting a candle, reading books, because you'll figure it out.
Or the nap.
Yes, a lot actually happens during a nap. Like, you get job offers, you get asked out on dates, you get all kinds of things while you nap.
We love that. We love it. One thing me and JB, we always like to say, or at least I always say it, right? We operate our show on an each one, teach one basis, right?
Love
and I feel
that.
like we get, so many of our guests are young adults who are either post-grad or, now emerged into, full-blown adult life and having bills and navigating what's their next career moves. And, it's very interesting because what they say and what you're saying, it sounds literally the same, right? Coming from you who you have children, right? You've had the career and you're still defining what that looks like for you. And then you've had the marriage and you're still in this second act, right? And it just makes me really appreciative of opportunities like this that we have to sit down and have conversations, right? Because it literally doesn't matter what kind of person you are, where you come from, how you were raised, right? What you have going on. we're all still feeding inner child.
Yes, we're all still feeding inner child. And I love what you just said, because no matter our age, no matter our demographics, socioeconomic, whatever it is, whether we went to college or not, at the end of the day, we are all human. And all we desire is human connection, actually, is my personal belief.
Right.
And we all want to, we all want to give. A lot of us, so many of us don't know how to receive.
Right.
But if we all love to give, then we all have to learn to receive so that givers can also feel like they've
Fulfilled.
got, yes,
Fulfilled.
and they've had the opportunity to give. I mean, the fact that you do this podcast, like, you have given me this great opportunity to like receive, like, you know, your validation, the connection with both of you. It's amazing, and it is so important. And I think that is the beauty of podcasts also.
Yeah.
That we get to do this, and we get to like take time to know each other in a way we wouldn't otherwise, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just say as we wrap here, I would say that, you know, to anybody out there that's watching this, I feel like you're a testament of, you know, no matter at what stage in life that you feel like you want to accomplish something and get something done, like, you can still do it, right? And, you know, I know many women, you know, aunts, people like, you know, mentors that have been in my life that have similar situations to where, you know, they fight, you know, do I go all in my career? Or like you said, do I start a family? And if I do start a family, how can I continue to excel in my career? And, you know, it's something that, you know, obviously I've never experienced. It's something that I won't have to figure that out as because I'm not a woman. But I do empathize with you on that, because that's such an important thing. Like, right, being a mother, you know, creating, you know, children, you know, then showing them the ropes, showing them the way. Now you said you have a 20-year-old in college, and you have another one that's about to start this fall, right? Like, all that's important. And I just think that, you know, it all is a testament to your will, your power, and your strength. So I just want to give you your props, your kudos for that. And I just appreciate this conversation, because you provided, you know, an element to our show that we haven't had on yet. And I just think it's so important, so that as we continue to, you know, bring new guests on, we have new energy and continue to have people on from different walks of life. So thank you for coming on and joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. It's been truly an honor and a blessing, and I'm very grateful for our deep-rooted connection. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for, you know, just taking the time to sit down and, you know, talk about your journey. It's been definitely a pleasure.
I have absolutely loved it. Thank you.
What's up. That's what's up.
Yes.
Before we go, do you want to go ahead and give your social channels out to the audience? Make
Sure. My podcast, which is coming,
Right.
It'll definitely be out by end of August, beginning September on Spotify. It's called Midnight Snack with Julie Chan. It's actually sort of taking a different turn and becoming a podcast, but it had started out as a first season show highlighting Asian Americans who are in the entertainment industry, activists, authors, comedians. And I did that as a live show. The first season can be seen on Amazon Prime or Apple TV.
Right.
And it's called Midnight Snack with Julie Chan. And my Instagram, I'd love the follow, is The Julie Chan Show.
Yes.
Julie Chan Show.
Definitely.
So thank you guys so much.
No,
I
thank
have
you.
loved every
Appreciate it.
second of this. You guys are so awesome. I love your radiant smiles. Thank you.
Thank you. And of course, that's going to wrap it up for us. Please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, Spotify, and Apple at Official Inner Child. We're also on TikTok and Instagram at Official Inner Child. So make sure you give us a follow there as well. Till next time, I'm OD. It's JB. Julie Chan on the show. Doesn't matter where you come from, as long as you tap into your inner child. So please never forget to embrace your inner child. Peace.